questions answered. Please wait until you're called upon prior to asking your question. And with that being said, happy to be joined by Coach Mayner with Alabama A&M. Coach Mayner, first and foremost, as always, thank you so much for your time. If you could, Coach, please start us out just with an opening statement recapping this past week's action versus Florida A&M.
Yeah, we had Florida A&M this weekend come in. We did senior day this weekend because our last game was on Thursday night, and we don't have those parents have to drive in the middle of the week, miss days of work and things of that nature. So it's last Saturday, so we used this as our senior night or day, even though it wasn't the last home game. But we knew Coach Simmons and the Rattlers was going to come in, had a great football team, and they showed it early. They jumped right on us, man. 17 zip before the band could get in their seats all the way. 17 zip. They got us with a long pass with full coverage. Then a block kick, but the defense really played well against that. We held them to a field goal, so it was only 10 zip. And then we got another block and scoop for a touchdown, made it 17 the zip. And then we kind of got it together and went on 21 and answer, and we took the lead. So we got a ball game. It's 21-17. Right before the half, big play in the game, about third down and 15. Musa throws to the tight end down the middle. He was covered like a blanket. He just made the catch, man. He just won't. He went right over, got back and just took the ball. Then made two guys miss and ran down to like 9 yards and found a way to punch it in and take the lead before half and take the momentum back, make it 24-21. We get the ball first. We come out, make a play. We got the ball over midfield, and receiver get tackled, and they strip the ball out. And that was a huge play. Took our momentum away. Because we felt pretty good at halftime. And so that was a big turnover. And key the third quarter was we had the ball 3 times. We turned it over twice, a fumble and an interception. And they scored twice and made it 42-21. So pushed the score back out. And we came down and scored early before. Made it 42-28. Had another chance to score in the middle of the fourth quarter. We got the ball down first and goal on 2. And Pam made the goal line stand. So we weren't able to get it in, cut it to a 1-possession game. We're like 6-7 minutes left in the football game. And so they wound up beating us. It was a tough out game. They hatched off the ability as well, Coach. Once we took the lead back, they never wavered. They just came right back down and scored and played like champions. So it's a good football game. Unfortunately for us, we came out on losing.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach. We'll now open the floor for questions for Coach Mayner. Once again, if you do have a question, please utilize the raise your hand feature here on Zoom to get your question in the queue for Coach. Floor is now open for questions. Coach, obviously this weekend you'll travel, you'll be on the road at Bethune. If you could preview that matchup for us.
Yeah, Coach Woody is doing a great job with those guys, man. They're playing hard. They've much improved from last year on both sides of the football. So, they've been right there all year. Just a couple plays away. They can very easily have 3 or 4 more wins. And so we know they're a very good football team. They're well coached. They play hard. And we got to do the same thing because we go down there this weekend and they're going to be expecting to get a win. So we got to play well. We got to play better than we played this week. Can't turn the ball over. We got to cheer up our special teams. We got to make the plays that we're supposed to make.
All right, next question goes to Timona Stapleton.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Great. How you doing?
I'm good. I have a fan question for you. It says a 2-quarterback system is that something that the Alabama A&M fans should expect next year, given that QB1 and 2 both have eligibility left? So do you plan on utilizing Casey and Langford and switching them out?
No, I don't. I don't plan on it. I've never really been a two quarterback system guy, and I don't plan on doing it next year. I just want one quarterback. I really want one quarterback to can come in and play and take over and just lead our team where we need to be or trying to get to. And Langford got hurt uh, early in the game. He hurt his throwing hand, which is already hurt during the week, and he wasn't 100%. So that's why we made the switch with Quincy last week. So it's just kind of, you know, one of them will play a couple games and something happened, and the other one have to play. So it hasn't been by design that we've been playing both. It just happened just the way it fell this year.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Currently taking questions for Coach Mayner with Alabama A&M. All right, next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
You're on mute, Doc.
Did my whole interview and asked the question, introduction, and it was all silent. Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBC Sports Lab. How you doing this morning, Coach Mayner?
Doing good, considering.
Well, you still have a chance to have a winning season to close things out on a positive note in terms of that, which I think is always important as you're building momentum and moving forward. But before we get to your next matchup, will you give me some insight in terms from a coaching perspective? What makes the Rattlers that you just played this past week and, such a tough team to play against to try to get a victory as they've stacked it up, locked up the East, as you know, and will host the championship game?
Well, number one, they got a quarterback. And anytime you got a quarterback, you got a chance. And then they got a great defense. It's tough to run the ball on them. It's tough to throw the ball on them. They get pressure. They cover well. And they got great receivers. They got 2 or 3 running backs. They got a big old line. They just really, Coach Simmons has done a tremendous job, him and his coaching staff, of assembling a great football team, offensive, defensive, special teams. They really don't have a lot of weaknesses. And so you really have to be on top of your game to play those guys. You can't make a lot of mistakes. And you got to play well in all 3 phases. If you do that, you have a chance. But they're going to keep the pressure on you. If you mess up, you open up that door, they're going to step right through it.
Moving forward, as you talked about, Bethune-Cookman played really well all year long, but they were able to put enough together to get a big victory for them in terms of this past weekend on Thursday night. What do you see in terms of what they're trying to do offensively that you believe your defense can be successful to stop them such that you can get the victory?
Well, we got to stop the run. They play 2 quarterbacks, and so we got to be prepared for both. They don't do a whole lot different when they play those guys, but one is just a lot more athletic and mobile than the other. So we got to stop the run, try to make it one-dimensional as always, and we got a chance if we can do that. And keep them away from explosive plays. And we want to make people try to lift at the football field. When we're able to do that, we'll be able to be okay defense.
Certainly. Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Currently taking questions for Coach Mayner with Alabama A&M. Final questions for Coach. Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, we are a few minutes ahead of schedule for Alabama State's availability. We'll be back momentarily. All right, once again, for our media participants that are here on the call, if you do have any questions for our coaches, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue. Please limit your questions to one initial question, potentially a follow-up question. If we've got additional time allotted in our coach availability, we will work our way back to get additional questions answered. With that being said, happy to be joined by Coach Robinson with Alabama State. Coach, first and foremost, as always, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule. If you could, please start us out with an opening statement recapping your team's most recent outing versus Grambling State.
Yeah, I went down to Mobile, Alabama, played in the Port City Classic. We hadn't played in Mobile since 2009 after playing there for 35 straight years. So it was great to get down there and have a lot of alumni there. Played Grambling State. Hugh Jackson's team came down there and played a really good game. We were able to get off to a good start. Got off 7-0 with a really good touchdown pass to Keyshawn Johnson and had another score, I think, late in the second quarter. They had a good drive going down the end of the second quarter, and we was able to stop them. That definitely tightened the game up. Defense came up and made a play. And so 14-0 at the half, and I think we had scored one more field goal. They scored a touchdown. So it was one of those games where you never felt like you really had control of it, had to keep fighting all the way to the end, and Grambling played tough all the way to the very end. We had a couple of interceptions and turnovers. Scarborough has been playing really good. One of our safeties, he had a fumble recovery and a late interception that really helped us, and also Kale Jackson. But it was a well-fought game. We ran the football well against a tough team, so just was fortunate to get out there with a W. Felt like if they'd have scored once before we did, it would have been a tough game. It would have cut it to a one-score game, and it would have been a really tough one. And so we just had to finish strong, and the guys played hard. And now next week we go to Mississippi Valley, so looking forward to trying to get another W.
Appreciate those opening comments. Coach Floor is now up for questions for Coach Robinson with Alabama State. If you do have a question, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue. Currently taking questions for Coach Robinson. Coach, when looking at Mississippi Valley State on film, what are some of the things that stand out about their team?
I think defensively, they'll go from an odd front to an even front. Those guys play extremely hard. They run to the football. And so it's just going to be a challenge for us to match that intensity. We going down there, it's always tough. Kids have to get up emotionally. And so that's one of those things that as coaches, that's going to be our job, to make sure that everybody's ready to play. You only get 11 chances to play a college football game, so every one of them is a precious opportunity. And so that's we have to go out there and match the intensity that they're going to have when they play at home.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Roberts.
Good morning. How's it going?
Doing well. Really taking note of your team. Congratulations on a solid win. Particularly your defense. They're special. I'm not sure how else to really put that. Been solid, obviously, really starting back from last year, I should say. But coming in this year, you held, obviously, this particular game, Grambling, 62 yards rushing. Can you talk about what makes this defense tough, special, however you go about it, and their ability to stop teams of what they want to?
Yeah, I think, it starts with Coach Lewis. He's doing a great job. Coach James Williams, secondary coach, all of those guys, Middleton. So I think the staff, they just get those guys ready to play. Of course, I add my 2 cents here or there, but for the most part, they're putting it up there, and I'm just signing off on it. To me, it's more about attitude and effort. That's what defense is all about. You got to go out there with a nasty attitude. You got to go out there, and you can't just take the field. You have to take the field, and that's what we try to preach. And then the rest of it is just effort. So you got to have 11 guys running to the ball on a consistent basis, and that starts in spring practice, that starts in training camp, and wanted to carry over to the game. So it's kind of infectious. One guy makes a play, and I think the kids are really unselfish. If the guy makes a play, everybody's happy for him making that play. It's not, well, he made a sack and I didn't. It's more, hey, we're all happy because he made that play. So defense is fun to me. It's attitude and effort, and after that, you just go out there and just play hard.
Coach, I bet it is fun to you. With that being said, wanted to ask you about, they're pretty effective, it seems like, rallying to the ball. But more importantly that you may see in a lot of teams that challenge you with this is their ability to tackle in space. especially as individuals. Can you talk a little bit about, are there anything you're teaching about that, or is this just some recruiting that you're looking particularly for a style of player that seems to be able to do that? And lastly, in that question is how would that help you in your matchup against Valley to make sure that they don't get going offensively?
Yeah, I think tackling is a whole lot of want to. You have to want to make the tackle, and I think that's a big part of it. Tackling technique wise, and like everybody else, we practice it a whole lot. I think even on days when you're not hitting, you still can't just two-hand touch. You still have to get in the tackling position. So I think every day you have to emphasize the tackling part of it, special teams, whatever it is. And so we've been fortunate enough where, to me, it still goes back to effort, because we have a lot of guys that miss tackles, but then that's when the next 2 or 3 have to be running full speed. So you don't notice when the first guy missed if you got 2 more running just as hard. And I think, with Valley, they have some talented receivers. Running back's going to be tough to get down. So we know the style of coverage we play, is sometimes one guy has to make that one tackle, or it can be a really big play. And so he has to be able to execute and make that play more than he misses it. So that's pressure on everybody. But like I said, the way you erase that is for everybody running to the football.
Good stuff. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate you. Good luck this weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Next question goes to Kendrick Marshall.
Yeah, Coach. You're near the end of your second full season. You guys on a 4-game winning streak, riding pretty high. Where would you assess the team from your first year to this point? And how do you, I guess, gauge whether that progress is right on track or still needs improvement?
Well, I think for me, after the next 3 weeks, after Thanksgiving, then I can probably answer that question. We were in a similar situation last year, and we were 6-3, and we lost the last 2 games. So now we have to finish strong, and so we have to win each day. So we don't really talk about how many games we have left. We don't talk about anything except win each day. So we won Sunday, and so we want to win Monday academically. Then we got to come out and win Tuesday. So I think getting to that approach, just winning each day, and I think we'll be okay. You start talking more than one day with Generation Z, you kind of get yourself in trouble. So that's how we kind of simplified it, and it seems to work from that standpoint. So we won't change that. I think to answer your question, overall as a program, I think we're moving in the right direction. But we still have a long way to go to be a good, consistent team that can, win ball games on a consistent basis.
And what are some of the areas you guys are going to look at to determine what do you need to do in order to be more consistent?
Well, I think it starts in practice. Cutting down the penalties was a big deal. From last year to this year, we're better at the penalties, but we want to be even better at not having those penalties, especially those unforced ones. And so to me, it starts with the discipline aspect of it, and it all starts on the practice field, and then it shows up on game day.
All right, last question goes to Doc Holliday.
How you doing, Coach? This is Doc Holliday, HBC Overdrive. How you doing this morning?
Doing well. Good morning. How's it going?
I'm doing good. So you're for this season, you're at 5-3. During your winning streak, what have you told your guys? How have you motivated your guys during this current winning streak right now?
Well, we just had to take a step back, and like I said earlier, we just had to focus on winning each day. I think we were talking too much about the big picture and less about we need to have a good practice on Tuesday morning. And I think then you have to go watch film on Tuesday. Then you have to go to class. Then you have to go to weights. And so we just got back to that part of it and kept it simple, and didn't put too much to the kids. Probably simplified what we were doing a little bit, and just let the kids go out there and play and have fun. It's still football. It's all about blocking and tackling. There's no secret sauce to it. If you block and tackle well, you probably have a good chance to win.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Appreciate it.
All right, we got time for one more question. Ms. Stapleton, did you want to get one more question in?
Yes. How you doing, Coach?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. This is She Loves the Podcast, Timona Stapleton. I wanted to quickly ask you about preparing for Valley. Valley is known for playing really well at home. They play hard, and sometimes their field is referred to as the 12th man. Can you talk a little bit about, I know you said you're working on your penalties this week, but what are some other things that you are working on this week in practice to prepare for that type of atmosphere?
Well, I think for us is, the thing we come up with is just methodical execution. So we want to execute just and be a very methodical approach, and that's win each play. And you got to do that in practice. So we overemphasize and we're very critical when a guy makes a simple mistake in practice, because that's going to carry over to the game. And I think as far as going in the Valley, to me, the score is already 14-0. We're already losing. So if you don't go up there with that type of mentality, then you're not going to have a successful game. So we know that we have to get off the bus ready to play with a sense of urgency. And they're going to compete, and they have a good team, and they're going to expect to win the game. And as they should, and they play really good at home. They know it, we know it, the whole SWAC knows it. So if you go up there anticipating anything else but a tough physical football game that's going to come down to the last play, then you're not going to come out there and with a good day. So that's the approach that we have to have.
Thank you, Coach.
Absolutely, appreciate it.
Coach Robinson, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Now go to Alcorn State and Alcorn State head coach Fred McNair. Once again, for all of our media participants, if you do have a question, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for our coaches. Coach McNair, as always, sir, thank you so much for taking some time to join us. If you could please start us out with an opening statement recapping your team's home win this past weekend versus Southern.
It was great. Great win, first of all. First, real physical ball club Dooley brought in. Those guys played extremely hard, and my guys did the same. So it was a battle that was tough. I thought that we played exceptionally well on offense and defense. We gave up 2 big plays on defense. They gave them 2 touchdowns, and they did some good things offensively. Offensively, we played well. Put it in the box when we had to in the red zone. So that's one thing we try to get better at. Keenan Leishman had a phenomenal day. Our safety, he had a pick 6. He had a strip fumble for a touchdown, and they had another interception. He played extremely well, and today he was named the FCS National Defensive Player of the Week, which I thought was big. Had a big thing here on campus this morning during the course of practice for him. The executive producer for the FCS National Award came down and presented him a trophy this morning. So it was a great morning for practice. Getting ready for another physical game against Texas Southern. The game had been moved to Sunday, so we had to redo our schedule in terms of what we do normally through the week. So just moved Sunday to Monday, and therefore but other than that, just got to get prepared for another great football game this weekend.
Thank you for those opening comments, Coach. First question goes to Kendrick Marshall.
Yeah, Coach, I want to talk to you about Leishman. You mentioned his performance on Saturday. What has he meant to your team, being a transfer guy, and how has he contributed to your guys' success this year?
I tell you what, just getting him here during the course of June and getting him on campus, man, it was a great deal for Coach Thomas. When he brought me up to the young man and he introduced me to him and said, Coach, we bringing this guy in. And just the mannerism of him really told me a lot about him, the way he carried himself, and, coming from Northwestern State, out of Baton Rouge, I think that was a big deal for us just to get him on campus. And he liked what he saw and wanted to be a part of this program. So I thought that was one big thing for us. He had a phenomenal game. Very, very good coachable kid, man. This young man, he go out and work hard each and every day, and it kind of shows in the course of a game because he looks at every little detail that coaches tell him during the course of a game, what concepts and the routes they're gonna get. He understands that. So, very unique young guy. Very manageable, man. This is another one of the great coaching players that I've coached before, just coming from another school such as Northwestern State.
All right, as a follow-up, Coach, your team is, as of now, 1 game in front in the SWAC West. There's still some football left to play. But during your tenure at Alcorn State, your football teams, especially late in the season, seem to always rise to the occasion. especially playing at home? Why do your team seem to always put it into that next gear late in the season?
The biggest thing is, you peak at the right time. Early in the year, we had a few losses that kind of put us behind. Played a real tough non-conference schedule. First of all, which I'm very proud we do. That non-conference schedule really helped us out more than anything. You talk about playing at USM, then you go to Nacogdoches and play Stephen F. Austin, and then you come back and play McNair, stay here at home, and then you open the conference up with a loss. These guys, they've been here before. They know what it takes to win. And I think, having that first loss in the conference really put them on a pedestal, that, they can be beat. And they understand that now. So I think the biggest thing is now that they're playing better each and every week now. And this is the time to peak late on in the season, man. And you play your best football at the end. Because when the second season kick in, you want to be ready. But we got 2 more games left. We got a great football team that we're going to play against Texas Southern. We got to be ready. Coach McKinney going to have those guys ready to play. So we just got to go with a good attitude. And they understand what happened last year here at homecoming. So these guys know what's at stake. So we're going to take this one game at a time, and we move on from there.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Next question goes to Doc Holliday.
How you doing, Coach? Doc Holliday, HBCU Overdrive. How you doing this morning?
I'm good, sir.
All right. So you got your quarterback, Aaron Allen. He's playing lights out this season, and we've been talking about Jarvion Howard. I know he had a slow start, but the last 3 games he has been hitting either close to 100 or a little bit over 100. What are the things that you've been telling him to try to get him going in the last couple of games?
The biggest thing, just don't try to press yourself. Let it come to you. I think in the early in the season, he tried to do a little bit too much. And talking about Jarvion Howard now, in terms of his running game, you have to let it come to you. It's not every day the sun's gonna shine every day. So you have to let it come to you. He finally realized that, and he understands that what we're trying to do offensively to open up his running game for us. I think that's what we've done with Aaron Allen coming in and being with this efficiency that he's having in the passing game. It's kind of helping up the run game too. So, just being patient. The biggest thing we talked about, and I think that Aaron have done a great job of leading his offense, being patient, take what they give you, and lead his offense. So Jarvion understand that now. So, before the game last week, he said, Coach, just ready to play. But the biggest thing is these guys understand that they're gonna take all of us to win this thing. So everybody got to be bought in and just pay attention to details. And as a team, I think our scout team does a real good job through the course of the week, getting both sides of the ball prepared to play on Saturday, giving us good looks for my opposition. What they're gonna give us. So these guys does a real good job through the course of the week, playing fast, and that's what it's gonna take from here on out. For the next game we got, just got to continue to play that way.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Dr. Wills, inside the HBC Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Talk a little bit for me in regards to working towards something from, the year before in a lot of ways, and continue to build. And as you march through the season, things start to gel and come together. What is the feeling as a coach when you see all that starting to come together as you want to close the season out, start to make a run at a potential championship?
The biggest thing is when we first came in the spring as a coaching staff, when we sit down and had our meetings and stuff like that, we understood that what we had coming back, the type of players that we recruited coming in, and what we needed to address, to bring this program up to par. And I thought that we did a great job in off-season getting the guys that we needed to come in and help these guys, the older guys out in terms of recruiting. I think the biggest thing is that these guys understood that, for the past 2 years, we've been kind of down, and it's time to pick it up a little bit. We talked about where we want to be at the end, from the beginning, from the start to the end. So we're getting to the end of it now, and And I think the guys understand, it's going to take a lot of effort in terms of what we got to do to get to where we need to go. Our ultimate goal is, and so they understand that now. So we talk about it all the time as coaches, making sure they understand. It's one game at a time, from here on out. This week is another playoff game for us against Texas Southern, so we got to win. These guys understand that. They had a great practice this morning. The guys felt pretty good about themselves, so we just got to continue to keep our thumbs on them and make sure they're doing the right thing to make this thing work.
Certainly, that's my follow-up question about the next matchup. You got it done in a game that was for first place in the Western Division. Now you have another Western Division foe, Texas Southern. And obviously they're just 1-5 in the division, but I'm sure that from game tape and following things week to week to some degree, you've seen their ability to play in a lot of these games. They just hadn't turned into wins. As you see them, what do you see them doing pretty effectively that you want to find a way to slow them down or stop them from a defensive perspective?
These guys playing very, very hard. Coach McKinney got those guys playing very hard. That's one thing I like about him. No matter what the situation is, those guys gonna continue to play very hard each and every week. Every game they've been in close ball games. Each one they played. So that's just to say how much that the coaching staff been doing to keep those guys up. On the positive side, because they easily, being 1-5 in the conference, you can say, let's wrap it up. But he keeping them guys up, making them play hard. This past week they played Jackson State real close. I watched film up until 10 o'clock last night, trying to figure out,
Wow.
What's happening. Then I'm up at 4 o'clock this morning, doing the same thing. So, we got to grind here, man. We got to figure out what they're going to try to do to us offensive, defensively, and special teams. It plays a big part in it. But we got to figure these guys out and making sure we got our I's dotted and T's crossed. They got a good running game. They got a great running game. The quarterback is very efficient in doing the things he can do. Got a real tough front seven that's going to bring it every time you snap the ball. So we got our work cut out for us against a real tough physical ball club.
Thank you, Coach. Great points. I appreciate that. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Coach McNair, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking again next week.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And now we'll go to Bethune Cookman, Coach Woody. Once again, if you do have any questions, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for Coach. Please limit your questions to one initial question, potentially a follow-up. If we've got additional time, we'll work our way back to get additional questions answered. Coach, first and foremost, thank you so much. Take some time to join us. Coach, if you would please start us out with an opening statement, recapping your team's most recent outing versus Mississippi Valley State.
Well, glad to be here again. Obviously, we started out with scoring drives first quarter with Team Boyd had a 41-yard touchdown pass from freshman Marcus Shaw. Second quarter, we went to Tink again. He had an 8-yard pass touchdown from our quarterback Talib Bethea, and then followed up with a field goal from Cade Hatcher. And that was pretty much it. And then third quarter, we ended up scoring, following up interception by Darnell Dees, our safety. He picked the ball off and went 49-yard return and got tackled inside of 10, and we ended up kicking another field goal, and that ended up wrapping up the score, which ended 20-7. So we found a way to finish the ball game this past weekend. But I tell you, MSU, they played us hard, and it went down, to the very end. Glad we found a way to finish the football game.
Appreciate those comments, Coach. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill, inside the HBC Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Woody.
Good morning.
Congratulations on the win this past weekend. Really,
thank you.
Thursday. I want to talk a little bit about Tink Boyd. Had just 4 catches, but 76 yards, and more importantly, he was able to get in the end zone twice. One of them for 41 yards. What gives us a little insight in terms of Mr. Boyd?
Well, he's one of those guys. He's just a come to work, go to work type of guy. I mean, he's not blazing fast, but he runs good routes. He has soft hands and he has that grit. I mean, he keeps coming and coming, and his practice habits are the way and also he plays in the game. But those are the results that happens in the game because he practiced, and he tried to practice perfect. He don't just show up to practice. He's all about the details, and he's definitely been helping us out throughout the season.
Thank you, Coach. To your next matchup, you got A&M at home. Your defense has played pretty solid most part off season. Obviously, I know there's some things that you want to see them do better, particularly at critical points in the game. With that being said, what do you want to see them able to continue to do against Alabama A&M as they prepare for possibly two quarterbacks throughout the game in this particular matchup this weekend?
Well, I tell you what, it all is going to come down to alignment and assignment. Coach Mayner, he does a really good job of using those the two quarterbacks that he has by committee. I mean, those guys are a really good football team, and we just have to make sure our technique and fundamentals are always up to par, because playing against a team like this, I mean, they can really expose you if it's not.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Currently taking questions for Coach Woody with Bethune-Cookman. Any final questions for Coach?
Best guy I've ever coached. Best.
Any final questions for Coach Woody with Bethune-Cookman? All right, we'll take a question from Jay Keith.
Hey, Coach, congratulations on the win, JT Keith USA Today. Hey, what does that win mean to you guys in your program, second win of the season for you?
Sorry about that, Coach. Looks like you're on mute. Apologies for that. If you could restate that answer for us.
Yes, you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it definitely was a really good win for the program where we're trying to go. Obviously want to be known as a well-disciplined football team, but also being able to win games as well. Just to see the guys, fight week in and week out, and then obviously find a way to close the game. I mean, that's showing maturity of our football team. So, obviously it's hard to win games, any game, but for them to come together and fight for each other, I thought it was big.
Coach, can you talk about your defensive backs and number 9 who got called for the targeting but was not targeted?
Number 9?
Yeah, the kid that was called for targeting, but they overruled it on the defense.
Oh, okay. That was 25.
25, excuse me.
Yes, that was our middle linebacker. I mean, obviously, when you saw the replay, it was with his shoulder, not with his head. And, just looking at film, that's why you look at film. That's why you evaluate film, and to be able to look at it and send it in and get some more opinions, from the SWAC. I mean, obviously they do diligence, and it came out the way that we saw it. So that was good. And again, it goes back to, technique and fundamentals, and it was good to see that it got reviewed and got overturned.
Any final questions for Coach Woody with Bethune-Cookman? Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We'll now go to Florida A&M. Head Coach Willie Simmons. Once again, if you do have any questions for Coach, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue. Please limit your questions to one initial question, potentially a follow-up question. If we do have additional time allotted in our coach's availability, we will work our way back to get additional questions answered. With that being said, Coach Simmons, first and foremost, thank you so much for take some time out of your schedule to join us. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement recapping your team's most recent outing at Alabama A&M.
Yeah, thank you guys. Another big win for the program in a hostile environment. Senior day for those guys up there in Huntsville, and we knew they'd come out with a lot of fire. Fortunately for us, we were able to get a couple of big plays and special teams there to get us a big lead in the first quarter. But like they've done in the past, they fought back and made it a ball game. And so it was a 4-quarter contest. Traded punches back and forth. In the end, our guys did enough to win, and excited to bring home another win to solidify the ability to host the SWAC championship, which was a huge goal of ours. And we're excited about where this team is. Got a Lincoln team coming in this week that's winless, lower level team, but again, we can't go to sleep on them. And obviously, we got the Classic coming up next week, so a lot of football left before the SWAC championship, and so we got to continue to get better, clean up some things. But all in all, very pleased with where the team is at this point in the season.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach. First question goes to Kendrick Marshall.
Yeah, Coach. You mentioned that there's still a lot of football left to be played before the SWAC title game, but just talk about what hosting that game kind of means for the football program and for the university to kind of have that spotlight on it.
Well, it means a lot for the program. It means a lot for the university. It means a lot for the city of Tallahassee. Just the ability to bring football fans and enthusiasts, to the capital city of Florida is something that we're really excited about. We had a SWAC championship on December 2nd, and then the Florida High School Athletic Association State Championship Series the following week. So just amazing time, here in Tallahassee to host games at Bragg Stadium. We've done a lot of major upgrades, and we think that's why we're able to do these type of things. So, but it's exciting. We love the opportunity to host. We think it's going to be a great atmosphere, and we're definitely looking forward to it.
And about your football team, just as a program, you guys were coming to the SWAC and been pretty successful. You've won, I guess, 14 or 15 straight SWAC games. Coming into the league, what did you know you had to do in order to be successful and compete? And how would you say you guys performed so far in 3 years since you've been in the SWAC?
Well, fortunately for me, I cut my teeth in the SWAC, so very familiar with the style of play, with the atmospheres. So I kind of tried to prepare our team mentally for what we were going to face. The home field environment's a lot different than it is in the MEAC, and but I thought our team was prepared to do so. We were always a fast team being in Florida, so that definitely helped playing in the SWAC. And then being in the MEAC, we try to build our team from the inside out and get quality offensive and defensive linemen. So I think that combination, along with pretty good quarterback play, over the last few years, has been a major contributor to us being one of the top teams in the country.
All right, thanks.
Next question goes to Doc Holliday.
How you doing, Coach? Doc Holliday, HBCU Overture. How you doing this morning?
Doing well.
All right. Big win for your team this past Saturday. Tell me about your thoughts about the offense and how Jeremy Musa did this past Saturday.
Well, I thought at times we performed really well, and at times we didn't execute very well. And that can be said at every position, quarterback included. So for us, it's just about consistency. That's kind of been my rallying cry all season. We've shown in spurts that we're arguably the most explosive team in the conference, and we've shown in spurts that we can beat ourselves at times. And so we're continuing to work to try to find that holy grail to figure out what buttons to push with this group to get us to play at the level we're capable of. But he played well enough to win, but like everyone else on offense, definitely left some opportunities out there, that we need to improve upon if we're going to be the championship team that we're aspiring to be.
And for my follow-up question, I know we talked last time about the slow starts in the first half and then turn it on in the second half. This is the second game that y'all played where you played pretty much a complete game from start to finish. What did you tell your guys for the last 2 weeks and how they played matched up on the field?
Well, we talk about 60 minutes, every week. Obviously, fast is one of our words in our program, and finishes is also. So you want to start fast, you want to be able to finish. And so just continuing to emphasize those little things, coming out of the gate, having energy. The last couple of road games before this one, we came out flat. The atmospheres weren't amazing. So we had to kind of bring our own energy. But I thought the last 2 weekends, the guys did a really good job of bringing our own energy and starting the game fast. And then once we were, to get rolling, we were able to sustain it and finish. So it's a sign of a good football team is that they can do both, and we want to continue to do so because obviously the schedule doesn't get any lighter. Looking at the SWAC championship coming up, Florida Classic coming up first in 2 weeks, SWAC championship in a month, and then obviously you take care of business if you're playing the Celebration Bowl. So we got to be able to do that in those games because again the competition is not going to get any lighter.
All right, Coach. Appreciate it for your time.
Thank you.
Question goes to Brandon King.
All right. Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Brent. How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Actually, you can see me this time. I got my lighting situation together there. So they gave me a little money to get some lighting, so I'm happy about that. But wanted to ask you about your offense obviously gets a lot of the attention and things of that nature. But wanted to ask you about the play of your defense and your special teams, particularly over the past couple ball games. Defensively speaking, your unit got 9 sacks, 4 interceptions. So they're being very opportunistic in terms of kind of creating turnovers and points for your ball club. So what can you say about the level of play of those particular units over the past couple of ball games?
Well, defensively, we played at a high level all year. We're top 10 statistically, nationally in a lot of categories. We're leading the nation in tackles for loss, top 10 in sacks, third down conversion percentage, rush defense. All those key metrics, red zone defense. And so those guys have played at a high level all season. Special teams, we really challenge the guys to be elite. We've had moments where we've been really good. We've had moments where we've had some letdowns. So the consistency is what we've been looking for. And I think we got that last week. Obviously, 2 blocks. The first, two opportunities was huge for us. One gave us a short field, and one led to a touchdown. So, again, when you can have those type of game-changing plays from your special teams, it really, really goes a long way. They had a couple of fakes there, and we stopped. And those don't get talked about like blocks, but they're turnovers as well. So just the ability to create turnovers, to create short field positions for the offense, I think was critical in our game on Saturday. And then again, offensively, just being able to get out to the quarterback, being able to live in the backfield makes it very difficult for them to sustain drives when you're going from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 12, 2nd and 13. So again, it starts up front with our D-line play, and those guys have played at a really high level. But like I said, we got to continue to do so because the competition coming up will call for that. And so hopefully those guys, don't get complacent and that we continue to aspire for greatness on that side of the ball.
Well, thank you, Coach, and continued luck as the season moves forward.
Thank you.
All right. We'll take a question from Dr. Cavill.
It's Kenyatta Cavill. Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Simmons.
Good morning, Doc.
Man, I see you very focused there. I wanted to ask you, I wanted to continue on the defensive frame, but I wanted to be a little more focused in terms of this particular matchup. Defense was able to hold Alabama A&M to a total of 58 yards. Don Eaglin for 61 yards. But you've been able to do this pretty consistently all season long against some really strong backs that have had big breakout games in other contests to give some ideas of the talent that we've had in the league in regards to running back. What particularly makes this team that effective against the run?
Well, once it's our commitment to it. Every week my pregame message to the team really doesn't change. We try to get creative in how we spin the message, but the mandate's still the same. And defensively, it's real simple: stop the run. Stop the run, and I tell them make them snap it again, which means eliminate big plays. And so to stop the run, it obviously starts with D-line play. Defensive line being disruptive, getting penetration, and then it means our linebackers and safeties and nickels, being involved in the run fit. So to be a good run-stopping defense, you got to be gap sound and play responsibly. And our guys have done a really good job with that. But it starts with our mentality. We want to make sure that we can make you one-dimensional. We've given up some passing yards over the last few weeks, but if that's all we're giving up, we're going to be pretty good. It's when you give up rushing yards and passing yards where you find yourself in trouble. So just the overall commitment to stopping the run that we've committed ourselves to as a staff, as a team, I think that's where it starts. But having a deep and talented defensive line definitely doesn't hurt.
Certainly. Little follow up on that. In a particular matchup, do you have a focus point on, like, we need to stop this team, not just rushing, but we need to limit them to this amount of yards, either a player or a group of them, to be effective? Do you do any details like that?
Well, I don't personally. Obviously, our defensive staff has goals. Our team has goals. And so one of the goals, obviously, every week is to hold the other team under 100 yards rushing. And definitely want to hold a single player to 100 yards. And I think we've only given that up maybe twice in the last 2 seasons, that a player has had over 100 yards rushing. But as a team, we typically have a goal to hold the opposing team under 100 yards rushing. And right now, I think we're averaging somewhere around, giving up around 80 to 90 yards a game. So, again, I think that's top 6 or 5 in the nation in rush defense. But every week, the goal is to hold the other team to under 100 yards rushing.
Thank you, Coach. Look forward to being in Tallahassee in December.
Coach Simmons, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speak to you again next week.
Thank you, guys. Have a great week.
Thank you. Next up, we go to Grambling State and Coach Jackson. Once again, if you do have questions for our coaches, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue. Please limit your questions to one initial question, potentially a follow-up. If we've got additional time allotted, we'll work our way back to get additional questions answered. With that being said, so happy to be joined by Coach Jackson. Coach Jackson, first and foremost, thank you so much, sir, for taking some time out of your schedule to join us. If you could, please start us out with an opening statement recapping your team's most recent outing versus Alabama State.
We were very disappointed in the loss to Alabama State. We didn't play as well as we could. We're going to regroup and get ready for UAPB.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Jackson.
Good morning.
You talked about not being as effective, disappointing in that matchup. I wanted to ask you, from that perspective, Alabama State's opponents, their defense, what makes them really effective, and particularly how effective they were in this game?
Yeah, no, I think they play really good assignment defense, and their guys understand their scheme. They play together, and again, they know what they're doing. They do a good job. You have the Friday game. It's not a Thursday. Is that any more unique from that perspective as you go to Pine Bluff, and what do you want to do against them as you're moving your team forward to getting back on the winning track? No, absolutely. That's different, because that's one more day you don't get to prepare. So we got to speed so we got to get a day ahead, as you know. And I'm kind of glad that we do play on a Friday. We got to get this taste out of our mouth. So, but again, they're a scrappy team, and they're going to play hard as well. No doubt. Thanks, Coach Jack. Look forward to the matchup. Sure.
Currently taking questions for Coach Jackson with Grambling State. If you do have a question, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for Coach. Floor is currently open for questions. Have any additional questions for Coach? Our next question goes to Tanner Spearman.
Good morning, Coach. Tanner Spearman with the Pine Bluff Commercial. I just wanted to ask you, first, you're going on to play a UAPB, first-year head coach in Alonzo Hampton. What's kind of been your first impressions of what he's been able to do as a first-year head coach?
No, I think he's done a good job. He's got those guys competing extremely hard. I think their schemes are fantastic. I mean, like, they know what they're doing as well. And I think he got that program headed in the right direction.
Hey, Coach.
Do we have any additional questions for Coach? Coach Jackson, as always, all right. I'm sorry, Coach, we do have one more question. The question goes to Kendrick Marshall.
Yeah, Coach, you talked about how disappointing it was to lose on Saturday. I know the regular season is over, but it's going to be an uphill battle for you guys to try to get back in the SWAC West race. Despite the fact you guys have won more games this year than last year, it seems like you're kind of not satisfied that there's been a little bit of drop-off here late in the season. Could you explain why that is, and how can your team be more consistent?
bottom line, we got to play better. We got to play better, coach better, all of that. So, yeah, it is disappointing. We don't want to be the team one game better than a year ago. It really means nothing to us. We're excited to have more wins, but at the same time, we want to be in the race. That's where we expect to be, and we're not doing that. So we got some work to do, and we get it. But we're not going to be satisfied with just showing in the standings. We want to win the West.
Quick follow-up. Do you feel like taking a little bit of a step back from the structure you had from the season?
Well, obviously, we've been slowed down a little bit. So I think as our defense has gotten better, we're not scoring as many points as we had. So we gotta kick it back up again. So again, it's just that's the ebb and flow of a football season. Guys got to stay locked in, as you know, and we got to go finish every game we play.
All right, thanks.
Question goes to Mona Stapleton.
How you doing this morning, Coach?
Good.
That's good. This is She Loves the Podcast, Timona Stapleton. And my question is, you still have really two important games that are left on your season, and they're both in the West.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get over the hump in the locker room with your student athletes, letting them know that finishing strong, especially in the West, how important it is? Also, you have the chance to make sure that Southern shut out by beating them.
Oh, absolutely. That's all we talk about. We started that process immediately, and we'll do it every day until the season's over. So we understand UAPB is on our side, and so is Southern. So we got two really big games coming up, and we want to do everything we can to win both of them.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
We're taking questions for Coach Jackson with Grambling State. Final questions for Coach. All right, next question goes to Jay Keith.
Coach, JT Keith, USA Today. Can you tell me how much of I noticed the depth factor is how much is that the attrition taking a toll on your season and your players this year from not having enough depth, maybe?
No, I think our depth's fine. I don't think that's the issue at all. So I don't think we have a depth problem. I think we have an execution problem, and so we need to understand play in and play out. You got to execute and be at your best when it's game day. So I don't think our problem's player led as far as depth is concerned. I think we just got to go do the job that we need to do and play as hard as well as we can.
And Coach, where do you think you guys are at compared to last year, your first year, and to your second year at this time of the season?
Oh, we're better for sure. There's no question about that. I think the numbers say that, but the numbers don't always tell the truth, right? But I think we're better, but I expect us to be a little bit better than where we are right now. So we got some work to do. We get it, and we'll get that done. But we want to be better than where we are right now.
And Coach, one last thing for me. Did you realize it was going to take as long as it has for you to turn this around when you first took the job?
I know it's going to take some time because recruiting is the lifeblood of any program. You got to go build those relationships. But I'm not going to say I knew it was going to take this long or it was going to be faster. I think every situation is different. You got to go in it with that thought process. And so whether it's making sure you have the right coaches, making sure you have the right recruiting the right players, I think all of that goes into that pot to get it done.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Got time for one more question for Coach. All right. As always, Coach Jackson, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We'll now go to Arkansas Pine Bluff here momentarily. I do believe that we have Coach. Actually, once again, if you do have any questions for Coach, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue. Please limit your questions to one initial question, potentially a follow-up question. If we've got additional time allotted, we'll work our way back to get additional questions answered. With that being said, happy to be joined by Coach Hampton. Coach, first and foremost, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to join us. Coach, if you would please start us out with an opening statement recapping your team's most recent outing at Prairie View A&M.
Yeah, obviously we didn't play as well as we needed to get the win. Prairie View was a great homecoming crowd. And so they came out with a 24-point victory. We got down early in the game, 24-0. And then we came back out to half, scored right off the back, 24-7. We get a stop. We're driving the ball and get one of our players jump off sides. The pre-snap penalty on 4th and 1. And then we end up punting the ball. They score. And then we made it, scored again. And then we get them 3rd and 10 twice. Another chance to get another score. And they pick up the first down and ended up 14-14 second half. So our kids fought hard, and but we let them get out ahead of us through a pick 6 early in the game. So credit to Coach McDowell and his coaching staff. And now we're on to the next one.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Labs. Good morning, Coach Hampton.
Morning, sir.
Good. Thank you for that. Wanted to ask you a little more about that game before we move to the next matchup, as you alluded to. What were your thoughts in terms of Trayvon Connolly, how he was able to get some things done in that matchup?
Well, obviously, we knew that the kid could run the football. He was fleet of foot, and then you knew they had some. I'll say this: I think they got some of the best receivers in this conference. I mean, and I think Juan Bloomfield didn't even play. I coached him at University of Louisiana Monroe. Kobe Cavill, number 4, the slot receiver. I coached him at the University of Louisiana Monroe. And Keyshawn Johnson, the starting linebacker, I coached him at the University of Louisiana Monroe. So we knew they had a good football team. Knew offensively they were good. And I think they've had a lot of self-inflicted wounds, but they're a good football team. And that's why they're still in the hunt on the Western Division side. So coaches, man, he got them looking like a really good football team. So we knew quarterback was good. We need to be able to stop the run. And a lot of times we had guys in position. They couldn't make the play. And so that's a credit to them.
Know a little something about Kobe Cavill, and he speaks highly of you. So thank you for acknowledging that. As you said, moving forward appropriately, Grambling, they're coming into your spot. Talk a little bit about what do you want to try to get done in them. They've been pretty effective offensively, but they were slowed down in a lot of ways this past game. Are there some things on the film that you want to try to find a way to get done with your team in that particular matchup?
Let's be honest. Grambling, they got a really good offense. The quarterback's good. The running backs are good. They got 2 good receivers. And it's what you see is, like Coach Hughes said, man, they're kind of like they're inconsistent. They're up and down. But they're a really good football team, and they're one of the top 2 or 3 teams on our side. Even though the record doesn't show, they're a good football team. They can win on any Saturday. So what we need to do is we need to be assignment sound. We got to eliminate the big play. We got to be able to stop the run. You heard the coaches on here. If you can't stop the run, then you're giving the team the stability to run the ball down the field. You can't get off the field. And then when you can't stop the run, then they got the option to pass the ball. And we haven't done a good enough job there. We're giving up too many big plays, and guys just got bad eyes and not doing what they're coached to do. And obviously, we were able to bring some younger guys in at the end of the game, play the whole second half, and actually play pretty well.
Thank you, Coach Hampton. Good luck this weekend.
Yes, sir.
Look forward to the matchup.
Thank you, sir.
Next question goes to Tanner Spearman.
Good morning, Coach. So we just talked about one side of the ball. Let's talk about the other side. For your offense going up against that Grambling defense, what's going to be the key for you guys to get some momentum going, especially early in the game?
Block. It's simple. I mean, do your job. Block the person in front of you. Whatever play is called, do your assignment. And then that's our problem all year. We're calling some plays, and guys are not doing their jobs. And obviously, it must be a disconnect somewhere between the coach and the player. And we just got to get these guys focused, man. We got 18 seniors we need to send out the right way. And I told them, man, I've been a part of teams where you won 2 games, you won 3 games. I remember being at Northeast Louisiana, which is University of Louisiana Monroe. We were one of the top teams in 1A. And then we transitioned to 1A football, had to play an independent schedule. And you feel like you don't have anything to play for, getting your freaking head beat in every day. But as a man, it's time to step up. You got to say, I'm going to whoop the guy in front of me. And so that's all I'm trying to get them to understand. Man, this is the real world. Like, I'm better than the guy in front of me. I don't care about nobody else's job. I'm going to do my job. And I turn the film on. The film going to say Coach Hampton's better than that guy in front of him, or X, Y, and Z. And so we just got to continue to get more guys to have that mindset. And if we do that, we're going to give ourselves a chance to win. And it's no disrespect to anybody in this league. I've been in the SWAC. I already know what the SWAC's like. You're gonna have a good offense, you gotta have a good quarterback. You gotta be able to play sound defense. You gotta be gap sound, you gotta have guys that understand the scheme and understand what the other people are trying to do to you. And so we'll recruit to those guys. We'll get some of those guys. And the other part is you got to get the right coaches in, like Coach Jackson said. You got to get the right coaches. You got to get the right players. You got to get the right system in place. And when you get all those things in place, now we're on a level playing field. And I wouldn't leave this one out. You got to have some Florida speed.
And Coach, you mentioned those seniors trying to send them out the right way on senior night. What you've only gotten to coach them for a year, but what have those guys meant to this program?
Well, Coach, obviously, man, these guys have been through a lot of ups and downs. You know, they went through COVID and got to the SWAC championship game, had a chance to win it against Alabama A&M. And then, you know, you have a coaching change last year. You have about probably 15, 16 players transfer out of the building. And it's just like, man, that's life, though. People come in and out of your life for a season. And so what I'm telling them is this, man, it doesn't matter what anybody says, okay? You guys have had a tremendous career. You're going to have a chance to walk across the stage, get a degree in hand, be able to go back to your hometown or stay in this city, and you're going to be able to make a life for yourself. You're going to go get married one day. Man, it's going to be some times you're going to go to work. You ain't going to like what's going on at work. You can't quit, right? You got to be able to go back in there and get a job. I mean, and get that check so you can go and pay some bills. So these kids have stayed true to it. And my whole mindset to them is this. I told them you got to stay in the fight, okay? As long as you can stay in the fight and you don't break, you got a chance to win. I mean, man, we're on the last leg right now. We're coming down the backstretch of the 400 meter. And I remember, man, I tell them all the time, man, this is where you see who really wants it. Because a lot of people quit in the last 45 meters of the race, the 400 meters. And the reason I'm talking about it, because I was state champion in the 400. And I'm going to tell you right now, that is the hardest part of the race. You got to give everything you got, and you can't quit. And you got to hold your form all the way through. So now our young men need to hold a form, that gold standard that we've been talking about. And I just need to, we're going to cruise all the way through the end. When I say cruise, man, the form is going to be head tight, elbows tight, chest up big, and we're going to run all the way through the finish line.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Next question goes to Doc Holliday.
Coach Hampton, how you doing? Doc Holliday, HBC Overdrive. How you doing this morning?
Hey, I'm doing good, Doc. How you doing?
Man, you have a lot of enthusiasm for your team, and a lot of us in that covers you HBCU football. We love that enthusiasm. But I want to get a question about the quarterback play from this past Saturday. What are some things that you're going to try to change as for the upcoming week against Grambling?
Well, I mean, we're not going to change anything, and let's be honest. Man, we started 3 quarterbacks this year. McKinney started against Tulsa, had a really good game. They knocked him out in the 3rd quarter. Then we came in with Jalen Macon. Jalen had a good game against Alabama A&M. Played pretty well against Tennessee State, and then he was playing well. Then he, a couple of things happened. Didn't watch as much film as needed to. Wasn't as mature as he needed to be. And then McKay got injured again, so we brought in Chancellor, right? And Chancellor is a quarter. He's like a coach on the field, but the last couple games, Chancellor has done things that's not what he's supposed to do. Like he threw a pick 6. There's one high. He's supposed to throw the ball out wide. He throw the ball in the slot, throw it late, and the guy picks it off. Now the score is 17, and nothing. That's 24, nothing. It's things like that. He doesn't protect the ball at times, and we got to do a better job of helping all 3 of those guys. So I know everybody want to know who's going to start. I don't know. We'll see who practices the best and go from there. But we got to do what we got to do to give our team a chance to win this football game. And they all 3 have things that they can do well, but right now we're just not getting it done from that position. And so anybody guess as good as mine who's going to start this game.
Appreciate your answer, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Last question goes to Charles Bishop.
Coach Hampton, how you doing?
How you doing, Mr. Bishop?
I wanted to ask this question. Although this past Saturday, not particularly successful on the offensive side of the ball, but I took particular note of the running of Johnny Williams. Didn't have him on my 2 deep chart from calling the game, but he was tremendously successful in the second half of that ball game.
Yeah, and I'll say this, and I don't know if anybody knew if you watched the game. Coach Acosta, offensive coordinator, he had emergency eye surgery. And so he wasn't with us all week. And so, man, we kind of had to piece the thing together. It was giving other guys opportunities. But Johnny Williams is a guy, tailback. He's from Houston. He's graduating. He can run the football. Man, we got 4 running backs that can run. We just hadn't been able to block anybody or been consistently stay on a double team. We had guys, you know, and that's been our problem. But we got running backs. And so Johnny, it wasn't a surprise to me. I was going to let him start because we were going home. But again, our other 2 tailbacks that have been rushed over 100 yards a couple of weeks ago, they're injured. And, man, we've had the injury bug. It's like most people. It's that time of the year. And so we just got to press forward. But Johnny, I think the other 2 tailbacks will be back. Jones, which everybody knows, Kirsten Rogers will be back. And then we got Johnny Williams that had, I think, 88 yards and a nice touchdown run. So, man, we just got to continue to battle and stay in the fight.
Good thing. Appreciate you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Coach Hampton, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
All right. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Mississippi Valley State and head coach Wade. Once again, if you have questions, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for our coaches. With that being said, Coach Wade, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to join us. If you could, please start us out with an opening statement recapping your team's most recent outing versus Bethune-Cookman.
Yes, sir. First of all, good morning to everybody. Went down to Daytona Beach. Tough game. We put ourselves in a 17-0 hole. So it was kind of uphill battle from there. Going into that game, we knew it was 2 evenly matched teams. And they caught us early with a trick play. And we kind of expected those things to happen. And, you know, we took the bait. We fought back. We missed out on some opportunities to get this thing to a 1-possession game in the 4th quarter. But all in all, I mean, kids kept playing hard, and congrats to Coach Woody and his staff. They wanted it more. This game boiled down to who was going to be the most desperate team, and they just was a little bit more desperate when we did. Coaches wanted it more, players wanted it more, and they got it. Our next opponent will be Alabama State. They're rolling in on a 4-game win streak, one of the hottest teams in the SWAC, so we're looking forward to that matchup.
Appreciate those opening comments. Coach, first question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBC Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Wade.
Dr. Cavill, good morning.
Good, appreciate you. Watched that game on Thursday, and you were able to do some things pretty effectively, particularly in the passing game. As you know, 296 yards. But as you got down the field and got into the red zone, you had obviously had to miss field goal. Talk a little bit about the challenge of being able to rise to the occasion in terms of offensively being able to get some things done, but not being able to seal it with some points, particularly in a lot of cases being able to get in the end zone.
Yeah, man. As I think about it, one drive in particular in the 4th quarter, just miscommunication. It was on coaches. It wasn't the players. You know, we weren't able to get the right play called in for the guys to go out there and be successful. So part of it is just I take that one. You know, I take that one wholeheartedly because the guys did what we asked them to do, and like I said, you know, our job is to put them in the best situation, go out and be successful. And you know, I think we failed on that a couple of times. So again, we had some breakdowns with communication as far as our headsets for whatever reason. Some stuff happened, and but that being said, man, we just got to continue to just do our job at a high level. I think sometimes, you know, in a game, we start thinking about the moment opposed to just doing our job consistently. You know, winning teams just do what they do, and teams, you know, who's struggling and learning how to win, you know, in those winning the championship moments, we kind of go outside the framework of what's expected. And, you know, usually it's to our detriment.
Follow-up question on that area, and appreciate that frankness. As you're building the team and you talk about building that culture, are there things you can do coaching at it in regards to making sure that you go through that process so you get to the point where you just do what you do and do it well versus pushing forward and seeking for some things in terms of creating that culture overall?
Doc, you know the answer before you asked it. You got to go through an experience. You know, you have to go through. We can talk and preach it all day, but you have to go through these moments, and you have to be able to point at moments like this, and you grow from it. And I think that's the biggest thing. You got to go through it. Like there's no skipping a step when it comes to building a championship, a winning program. And there's no greater teacher than just experience. So we've had a lot of moments where we falter, and we've able to use those moments that's going to help us moving forward.
Coach, I agree with you. I know, and I try to say it out there, but it seems to come better received when it comes from you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Coaches. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Next question goes to Doc Holliday.
How you doing, Coach Wade? Doc Holliday, HBCU Overdrive. How you doing this morning?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Tell me about your freshman QB, Jaden Sisk. I've had a chance to watch him, being that I am from Dallas and he's from Dallas. I had a chance to watch him when he was in high school at W.T. White. Tell me some things about him that you saw in the game on Thursday that you saw anything that was good, and what was some of the things he needs to improve on?
I mean, first and foremost, he's a really good player. That's why we got him here. He throws the ball around. He can make every throw. He's a very cerebral kid. Coming from Texas, you can, he know ball, so he understands the structure of a defense, and he know where to go with the ball, and he did a good job of placing the ball where he needs to. The moment is never too big for the kid. I like how he's handled everything. Tajarian Williams, another true freshman who's been in front of him, he never pouted, he never complained. He just sat there and he waited his turn. And when he got that opportunity, he went out there and he played at a high level, threw for almost 200 yards, and he put himself in a position to, battle for this quarterback spot moving forward for this week. Just improvement. Just arm strength will be the biggest thing that we're going to focus on in the offseason. He throws the ball with great touch, but sometimes you got to be able to put a little zip on it, and that's something we're going to have to improve this offseason.
And my follow-up question, as far as for the defense, what are some things that you're looking to improve on for the game for this coming up week?
Eye discipline, just eyes being where they're supposed to be, doing your 111, doing what you're a coach to do, not trying to play hero ball. Just do what you're supposed to do. It's pretty simple.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next question goes to Kendrick Marshall.
We got the same first name, so I understand why you made the mistake. It's all right.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, Coach. You mentioned last week how the travel situation of going down to Tallahassee could have an impact on the game if you got to handle it correctly. Did you notice any effect from that during the game?
Oh, no, sir. Absolutely nothing, man. We were ready. We was fresh. The guys was motivated. They were fired up. It's just a matter of just execution. So nothing to do with the trip. Everything went well. And, like I said, they just wanted a little bit more than we did.
Okay. And going back to your previous answer about like building a culture, you said your program has to go through a lot of kind of rough times to get to where they need to be. But your program in particular, they've gone through a lot of rough times over the years. And I'm pretty sure like a lot of players are kind of like used to be quite frank, losing. How do you get to the point where the guys aren't thinking during the game where they may be behind, like, oh, here we go again? Like, how do you kind of like overcome that in that way of a program that's been down for so long?
Yeah, man. I mean, again, that's the challenge. We just got to keep preaching, doing winning things on and off the field to the point where it becomes second nature. And like I said, it takes time. And just previous staffs, I don't know, how they did it when things got tough. But for us, I mean, we walk in every day with the same enthusiasm, with the same approach. The message hadn't changed since day one. So just being consistent with who we are as far as coaches, and because they're looking. I think, when you take over a program like this, kids are looking. They're looking for that one opportunity where you're not standing on what you said you was going to stand on. And that just gives them the green light to kind of do the same. So for us, it's just kind of staying true to who we are, staying true to form, and just being consistent with who we are as far as the standards, and also keeping everything in perspective. some things we're dealing with now, it didn't happen overnight. You know, we're dealing with decades of just kind of, you know, subpar performances year in and year out. So again, we know that it's going to take a little while to get there, and we're just going to keep doing winning things. And you know, you do winning things eventually, winning will find a way to get to you. So that's going to be that's our approach for this year and moving forward.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Coach Wade, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next up, we will go to Prairie View A&M University and Coach McDowell. Once again, if you do have any questions for our coaches, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue. Please limit your questions to one initial question, potentially a follow-up. We'll work our way back if we've got additional time allotted in our coaches slot. With that being said, happy to be joined by Coach McDowell. Coach, first and foremost, thanks so much for taking some time to join us. If you could, please start us out with an opening statement recapping your team's most recent outing versus Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I thought it was a great atmosphere for college football on HBCU Go TV as well. Again, our biggest challenge was, again, just trying to keep these guys focused on the task at hand. You know, and again, that was playing against Coach Hampton and the team. We know Coach is going to have these guys ready to go. You know, again, we just, you know, we don't want these guys to think that just because of their record that, again, that they're not capable of playing football. And you got some guys over there that can play some football. I just want to say, just personally, just hang in there, big dog. You got a good group, and I know you're going to get them going. But again, we left some things out there. I mean, the score what it was, and we left some things out there. We just got to figure out how to get out of our own way. I mean, if we do some things to move the ball, then we also do some things that are not so good to push us back. You know, once we have a momentum going. So again, we got to figure some things out. You know, because again, they came out second half, and we did the exact same thing we did a week ago against FAM. You know, defensively, they drove the ball down and scored. And then like Coach Ham said, it was 14-14 in that second half. And man, again, I keep reiterating, because again, if we ever get to that point, and we, as I told them, it has to happen now. If we're going to get to that point where we stop hurting ourselves, we got to get to that point right now. Because again, we're getting ready to head down south and play against a very good team, two coaches, staff that know each other really, really well. Big things on the line at this point.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach. First question goes to Charles Bishop.
Coach, how you doing?
Good, see. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I wanted to ask you guys this past weekend really were able to shake out of the offensive malaise that you've been in the past couple of weeks, but you seem to unlock some things deep, especially with regards to Shamar Savage, 8 catches, 136 yards.
Yeah, and again, we've been waiting for him to have that type of game. He's capable of doing it. And as I said, as well as, other guys on the team as well. But again, we just got to be able to, again, just get out of our own way, learn what we're supposed to do, be where we're supposed to be, according to what the offense, wants you to be at, or where you need to be at, and what the offense wants you to do. And again, like I said, we gotta again, just, do the things that we are taught to do, and that you're taught to do, should I say. And we can be a very explosive team. But it was really good to see him come out of that. I thought, again, as we told him, we left 2 touchdowns out there. I mean, you're a big dude, man. You gotta take ownership of that size, and and do a little extra, to get into that end zone. But overall, again, one of them games that, again, waited on him to emerge, and he came out, did what he needed to do, and helped us get to a victory.
Quick follow-up, and I took notice of it from calling the game this past weekend, but I'm not going to say it was a new wrinkle, but you bring in roughly about 850 pounds of man with this jumbo package, and you were able, if I charted it correctly, you were 3 for 3 with the jumbo package. But just talk about the confidence in knowing that you can scratch out 1 or 2 yards, much like the Philly tush push if you need to.
Yeah, and again, and as I've said many times over beginning of the year, the O-line is, they are bread and butter. They're one of the most experienced group there. So to bring in 2 young guys that has been doing very well, as also, in their jumbo package, and and to help us get the yardage that we need, be it short or be it a touchdown. So that's a good package for us. And we're going to continue to use it, as it presents itself.
Good thing. Appreciate you, Coach.
Question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach.
What up, Doc?
I'm good. Congratulations on the win. As you said, very festive environment, 14,000 people in there, or over 14,000 people in the 15,000 stadium. Talk a little bit about Trayvon Connerly. I think he had one of his better outings of the season, 18 to 29, 305 yards with 1 touchdown. I was able to get some yards on the ground as well as he was throwing to those receivers as you got back Brian Jenkins. He had a couple of catches that turned up big. Trayvon Spiller got in the end zone as you got some of these guys back. Talk about that part of the game, Coach.
Again, we are very capable of making some big things happen. And again, as Coach Ham mentioned earlier, we had one of our top receivers out in Bloomfield, but we got some dudes that can make something happen. Again, it just goes back to us, them, as you can say, us as a team. But those guys, they got to be able to do again what the offense called for them to do, and make some plays, and we can do that. Again, it's just as good as game as he had. Talking about Trayvon, it could have been even better. Trust me. But he missed some throws, missed some key moments where he can put the ball in there. So I'll give our receivers some chances to catch the ball. But again, he is who he is, and we know what we have with him, and again, I'll kind of challenge him a little bit too, take what they give you. Again, if it's not there, as well as you run, if it calls for you to do that, just do it. Get the first down or 5 yards. Because a lot of times when he takes off and run, he's gonna probably get a good 4 or 5 yards, to shorten the yardage to get the first down. But I think again, he just got to do that more. And I think with him not thinking so much. What needs to do when he's processing, the reads throughout that one particular play, he plays well. Now, when he just go and do it, oh man, he's that guy. But like I say, again, still a good game, but there's a lot of things out there that again plays that he could have capitalized on to that would have increased that number big time.
Follow-up questions about the next matchup. In a lot of ways, this seems like an elimination game. In between the two. I want to look at it, continue with your offensive side of the ball as it seemed to have, breakout game, particularly after what has taken place the last 3 matchups. But they're in a Southern defense that has been really solid all season. Obviously, this past weekend, to put up some points, but some of that was mistakes on the offensive side of the ball. Talk about what Southern's defense does that concerns you, or you want to be able to see your team be able to take advantage of?
Again, they're a great team, man. Coach Miller gonna have those guys ready to go defensively. Coach Dooley gonna have them going offensively. It's a matchup. Between 2 teams again that know each other really well. Coach Miller, he had them 3 down out front, and he bringing them. He gonna put guys in your face. Match them up man to man. See if you can beat my guy. Bottom line. And we're gonna have to win those battles. I remember going back to last year. The game, close game at halftime, and then came out second half. He put those guys in our wide receiver faces, man, and they did their thing. So again, as I told guys, we got to win the battle. Will it be on the edge or up there on the front line? And we got to win it consistently. Because again, we're going down to a school, university, great for tradition, and it's going to be a hostile environment. So we got to be ready to play against a good football team. And whatever they throw at us, we got to be able to handle it.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you, sir.
The question goes to Jim Klein, Peter.
Good morning, Coach. You started off the SWAC schedule with a couple of real good victories, including beating Alcorn, and it seems like y'all been back and forth. What's been the issue there?
Again, Al, Jim, you're absolutely right. That's what we're trying to again figure out with our guys. This seesaw a seesaw deal where we're going up and down, or a roller coaster, should I say? We're just going up and down, and man, it's like, again, as we tell our guys when we're looking at film, like why didn't you do this? Why you do that? Just to get what they seeing, and and a lot of times they can't even give you answers. So and to me that's an issue. So again, this week we even not cut practice, but just team stuff. We had extra time to where we went over formations, whether it be defensively, offensively, just to give these guys more reps, to make sure they know what their assignment is and what they're supposed to do. So that's what we're trying to figure out, Jim. And I'm pretty sure with my coaching staff and myself, we're gonna get this thing figured out. And again, once we do, we can be pretty darn explosive. I would say definitely offensively, defensively as well. Like I say, even that second half, as I said earlier, they came out, went down the field real fast. But again, that was due to guys just missing tackle. We had guys in the back, we had them tackle in the backfield, and they, made three or four guys miss. So, we got to correct those mistakes, coming into this game against Southern. Because again, with a team like that, you make those type of mistakes, bad things are going to happen.
But statistically, it looks like y'all are running the ball really well, but you don't have like one standout guy. Have you been satisfied with the balance in your offense?
Absolutely, Jim. And again, that's, you guys know, we got a host of backs that can run the ball. We got to get guys healthy, in order to be at our best, going against this team. But yeah, that, with that O-line and the dudes we got back there, hopefully we get Caleb Johnson back this week. Of course, Connor Wisham's going to be out for me with that dislocated elbow. But again, we got some backs, that have stepped up. Jamari Brooks stepped up, did his thing this week. And that was one of the things, Jim, I talked to him about. Guys, we got some guys hurt, and some of you guys gonna have to step it up. This is the perfect opportunity and time to do that. Show the coaches what you have, in order to get more playing time.
Thank you, Coach.
Sir.
Coach McDowell, we sincerely appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you, guys.
Sir, thank you. We'll now move on to Southern University. Coach Dooley, once again, if you do have any questions for Coach, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue. Please limit your questions. One initial question, potentially a follow-up. If we got additional time allotted, we'll work our way back to get additional questions answered. With that being said, Coach Dooley, first and foremost, thank you so much for taking some time to join us out of your schedule. If you could, please start us out with an opening statement recapping your team's most recent outing at Alcorn State.
Yeah, we had the opportunity to go down on the reservation, which was a great top 10 matchup. We knew that Coach McNair would have his team ready to play. I mean, he's been around for a while, and his team has always been well prepared. And I thought we got off to a great start. We were able to score first, and it just seemed as though right there things went downhill. Not to take any credit for them, because they made the plays when they had to. When you have that many turnovers or any turnovers against a great football team, the percentage is you're not going to have the outcome that you would like. But the thing that I'm going to always harp on, it doesn't matter what it looks like. I know my team is going to fight to the end, and that's what we got to do. That's what we in this thing, to fight to the end. I don't think anyone goes into a game handicapping themselves, saying we're not going to do this here, knowing what's on the line. And a lot of times for these coaches in this conference, nothing has to be on the line. It's just an opportunity that God has given you to go out and play. So why wouldn't you go out and put forward 100%? So unfortunately, this time right here, we came up on the short end of the deal, but that doesn't affect us. Our goal is still the same. We got to go 1-0. We're going to face a good Prairie View team that knows us, and we know them. We work together, great relationship, still working relationship. We're going to battle for 60 minutes, and that's what it's all about, fighting on the field for 60 minutes.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach. First question goes to Jim Kleinpeter.
Yeah, Coach, it was a disappointing loss, considering the stakes and all. Are you worried about your team bouncing back from that? Are you going to give them maybe a little extra encouragement this week?
Yeah, I don't speak. I don't speak in a negative realm, so I don't know that anything can come out with a negative perspective. But to me, anything is disappointing when you lose. If I'm walking and somebody beat me across the street, I'm disappointed because I want to win everything that I do. So it doesn't matter the magnitude of the game. It's just when you play. When you play, you have an opportunity. You want to win. And just came up that McNair came out on the better end of the deal. But we're gonna always be disappointed. I don't know no one that's not disappointed when they lose. If so, they're in the wrong business.
And are you considering a change at quarterback at this point?
Well, you know, that would be great to say if I'm just going to say that out loud. Yeah, tell Coach McDowell, who I know also well, get prepared for this year. Whatever we're going to do is going to come from within our team. I don't expose things like that. It don't matter. It's no secret. It still comes down, one coach alluded to it earlier. It comes down to blocking and tackling. That's all it comes down to.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Dr. Ville.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Ville's inside the HBC Sports Lab. Your defense has been really stout all year long. Were there particular concerns after the game and getting in there and watching some of the tape that concern you, or was that just one of those games where things might get going and they get out of control, if you will?
It did. You know, I thought everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and then, you know, it still comes back on the defense, but offensively we gave up 2 touchdowns. So you got to take that off the defense. I'm aware of it. I'm always look at the whole picture. And then offensively we did some great things, but we didn't do enough. You know, the bottom line is you got to score 1 more point than the next team to be victorious. So there's some things that we didn't do. It's always a concern if someone is doing some things and had success. How can we correct that to make us a better football team? Because you always work and strive for perfection. So there's some things we saw that we could have done better. There's some things that we were right there. We just didn't make that play. And those guys understand that. That's why you go in and you know, look at the tape when the game is all over to find out what could I have done better? What do I need to do right there? Hindsight is always great, but right now we're doing corrections and our guys are up for it and understand what need to be done.
Moving on to the next matchup against Prairie View, you alluded to obviously having some colleagues, people that you know on that side of the ball, and they know you all and know people on your coaching staff as well. But this goes with the players. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges or the benefits of going into a game where you have that familiarity among players and coaches?
You know, I think that's what makes this game so exciting. You know, a lot of guys within our conference at some point may have played against one another or may have played with one another. So now when you get the opportunity to compete at a high level, you know, it makes it so exciting. That's what you love about going to HBCU, that feel you're going to get of the guys that you see. You know, you see those guys going after it during the game, and it seems like it's going to be a big old catastrophe after it's all over with. But at the end of the day, when those guys finish warring for 60 minutes, they're shaking hands because they know one another. They're brothers that live in the same neighborhood, come from the same area. But being familiar with a lot of guys, I know you got to settle that adrenaline down because that first 3 minutes is going to be wide open. But I know that both teams would be prepared for it.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Look forward to the matchup.
Yes, sir.
Currently taking questions for Coach Dooley with Southern University.
If that's the case, can I follow up?
Absolutely.
Wanted to ask you a little more about that in terms of Trayvon Connolly. His play this last weekend, he was able to really get some things going in the air. Can you talk about what makes him as talented, particularly when he gets things going?
He is a true dual-threat quarterback. There's no question about it. I know it also well. I know the young man, and the young man is very, very competitive. So he's going to always try to will to win. That's his mindset, and that should be his mindset. A great young man, that understands football and want to be the best at whatever he does. So the things that he's doing, it's no surprise to me. You got to expect that from him. And, you know, even when you talk about an NFL quarterback, there's some things they got to work on. And they're getting paid so many zeros to play that position. So you got to expect a young man that has to also study tape, but also study academics as well, because without the academics, there's no studying tape. So I think the young man does a great job. I'm extremely proud of him, and I know it's going to be a challenge for us.
Thank you, Coach Dooley. Look forward to the matchup.
Yes, sir.
Any final questions for Coach? Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Now to Texas Southern University and Coach McKinney. Once again, if you do have any questions, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue. submit your questions to one initial question, potentially a follow-up. If we've got additional time allotted, we'll work our way back to get additional questions answered. All right, I do believe that we have Coach there with us. Coach, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you, but we can't see your video.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
Coach, you may want to log out and log back in. Sometimes it's just a tech issue.
Oh, I got to log back in?
Yeah, sometimes that'll work.
Appreciate that, Dr. Cavill.
Most certainly.
Appreciate everyone's patience as we attempt to get Coach's audio and video components working. If you do have any questions for Coach, you utilize the raise your hand feature. Put your question in the queue. Coach is rejoining us now. All right, there we go. See Coach's video. All right, we can see and we can hear you, Coach.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Doc.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you working to get that corrected. So happy to be joined, excuse me, by Coach McKinney with Texas Southern. Coach, if you could, please start us out with an opening statement recapping your team's most recent outing at Jackson State.
Yeah, took the guys to Jackson this past weekend, and came away with a tough, hard-fought loss.
Coach, I do apologize for interrupting you. Your audio just went out there. Yeah, we can't hear you. We could see you, just can't hear you. No, sir. No, we can't hear you. No, maybe we can try the if you could log out one more time and see if we can get the connection again. We could see you, but we just can't hear you. We appreciate everyone's patience as we work to get Coach connected. Following Coach McKinney will be Coach T.C. Taylor with Jackson State to conclude our coaches lineup for our media session today. As always, we will send out the audio and video recording of this Zoom session. Once it's processed on Zoom, it's also available via the SWAC Digital Network YouTube channel. All right, Coach, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
I had to change up devices.
No problem. Appreciate you. So if you could just continue with your statement about your last outing versus Jackson State.
Yeah, tough loss to Jackson State this past weekend. Thought we started fast like we normally try to do, but we came away empty on our opening drive. Played well. They went up a couple scores on us right there before half. We were able to get a touchdown to cut the lead in half. Came out defensively in the second half and played great, shut them out. Got a late touchdown at the end to try and send it to overtime with the 2-point conversion and came up short.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Coach, I thought we were going to be able to go to lunch. I was going to slide the check to you, but you did it yourself, so I guess we'll figure out something else. With that being said, certainly. With that being said, another tough game. You've been able to have your team in these football games. No doubt about it in terms of fighting through no matter the adversity, but can't quite get on the other side other than that game against Bethune-Cookman where you're able to hold on to the lead. Can you talk about how you continue to get your young men to play forward with the anticipations of breaking through and getting it done, although a lot of anticipation, I should say, in regards to this season not quite going your way?
Yeah, well, these guys are resilient, and we erase the previous week and we get ready for the next week. And so we know we're a good team. We just have had some unfortunate situations. We haven't been able to win the close games this year like we did in the previous year. So it's just a part of the process. We trust in the process, and we know that once we can get over that hump, start winning those close games, and the sky's the limit for us.
Is that just a product of athletes these days that they can just move through processes, or is that something that you have to be very intentional about them understanding the moment and then moving towards the next moment?
Yeah, we're very intentional, but with this generation, it's all about what's next. And so it's kind of easy for us to help them block what happened previously out of their mind and move on to the next opponent. And so I would say it's really a generational thing. They're about what's next.
I have a follow-up. There's time allotted. I'll allow my colleague to get in here in regards to the next football game.
Absolutely. Next question goes to Doc Holliday.
How you doing, Coach McKinney? Doc Holliday, HBCU Overdrive. How you doing this morning?
Good, Doc. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Well, tell me about the play of Jacob Williams, your linebacker, all SWAC linebacker, and tell me what things that he has improved on from this season, from last season.
Yeah, Jacob's doing a tremendous job for us this year. He's our leading tackler. He's our leader of our defense. He's a guy who we expect a lot from. And as far as the difference in him this year and last year, I mean, physically, he's gotten in the weight room and worked on his body. But he only played half the season last year. His season was cut short due to an injury. And so before he went out with his injury, he was our leading tackler as well on last year. So he's not doing anything that we didn't expect him to do.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Currently taking questions for Coach McKinney with Texas Southern. All right. We'll work our way back. Dr. Cavill, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. I did want to follow up in regards to this next matchup. You have Alcorn coming in here. You've been able to have some success against them previously, but they seem to be playing some really good football, very balanced. We tend to see them wanting to rush the ball, but they're able to get it done in the air. So what is the challenge when you have a team that has the ability to throw or run the ball, matriculate it down the field?
Yeah, well, the goal is to try and make the team one-dimensional, and they've done a really good job of being able to do both, run the ball as well as pass the ball. So, I mean, it's going to be a tall task for us, but we definitely want to focus on stopping the run and then take our chances when they decide to throw it, make them one-dimensional.
One quick follow-up. Obviously, the game has been moved to Sunday because of the scheduling of the MLS playoffs with the Houston Dynamo. Is there any major challenge, way or the other, having the game pushed back?
You got to play the game, Doc. It doesn't matter if it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You got to play the game. I think the schedule works out for us with the election day. NCAA stoppage of all activities on Tuesday for the election, so it kind of helps us out schedule-wise.
Great point. I think you
but
for
it
sharing
does the same thing for Alcorn.
Right. I like that mindset. All right, take care, Coach. Thanks.
Thanks, Doug.
All right, final questions for Coach. Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we now move to Jackson State. Once again, if you do have any questions, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue. With that being said, happy to be joined by Coach Taylor with Jackson State. Coach, first and foremost, thanks so much for taking some time out of your schedule to join us. If you could, please start us out with an opening statement recapping your team's most recent outing versus Texas Southern.
Hey, how everybody doing? Good weekend, good win for the program. Football team sitting at 7-3. It was a good football game. We came out in the first half, played high energy football. Got offense was up and down the field. Defense played well. Came out in the second half, and TSU, turned it up a notch on us. Coach McKinney did a great job with that football team, getting them motivated, getting them to come in here and ready to play. It came down to the last play of the game. Tim Stewart made a great play on the football to intercept it on a 2-point conversion try. But great football game, great weekend, and good to be 7-3 right now.
Get those comments, Coach. First question goes to Dr. Bill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Bill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. My first question is, we just spoke to Coach McKinney, to a ball club that's played a lot of close games. They've been on the other side of things. You've been able to play in these close games, a lot of things going on outside of your control, injuries, and key positions at that. But you've been able to punch through in a lot of ways and get some very tough, close victories. Can you talk about, is that just kind of like the football gods at times, or is there some things that you believe that you've been able to get done that allows you to finish in that type of way?
Well, I think it goes back to the way we recruited, too. We got pretty good depth here, and any time somebody gets injured, you ask for the next guy to step up, and they got to accept that role and go out there and play at a high level, as far as knowing assignments and, being able to help this football team win. But it's something we've dealt with all season long with the injury bug, but we don't make any excuses. As far as injuries and stuff, it's always the next man up motto here.
No doubt. Follow up, you have an open date before you do Ivory game. What are the plans as you move forward to close out the season?
Well, we're going to start getting ready for the Soul Bowl. We started that today, came in yesterday, but we're getting ready for the Soul Bowl. It's going to be a great atmosphere. We're looking forward to it. Coach McNair, I think a lot of him, he's had a lot of success in this league, and I know he's gotten that football team playing great football right now. Those guys are really moving and playing at a high level, but we'll take this week to, like I said, lick our wounds a little bit, get some guys back on their feet, and just start, preparing for Alcorn coming in here next week.
Look forward to the Soul Bowl. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Doc.
Next question goes to Doc Holliday.
Doc Holliday, HBCU Overjoy. How you doing, Coach TC?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. So tell me about your defensive backfield. They lead the nation FCS with 16 interceptions, where they are truly a no-fly zone. Tell me about the improvements that you made from last season to this season.
Well, it starts with Coach Quinn, Torian Quinn back there, a guy we brought in from Alcorn to coach that secondary defensive pass game coordinator. He really gets a lot out of those guys. He motivates them. And, we got a lot of new faces back there, a lot of new faces that we brought in that they just gelled together. Those guys communicate well. They're very athletic, can run, got good size on the back end, and they go after the football. They challenge each other each and every week as far as intercepting the ball, and that's what you've been seeing every week back there. But a good group, the chemistry has gotten good together with those guys, and, I'm very excited about what they bring to the table.
And my follow-up question, I know you talked about this on Saturday about the timeout with the 12 man on the field. Uh, and you said it was a coaching mistake. It kind of further explain that situation right there.
Well, the first time, we didn't have enough out there on the special teams. We had 10. And then I think Asais went down, had a cramp or something like that. So I thought we'd get it right there. We get over to the sideline, and we were still short once we broke the huddle because we didn't make the substitution for as it says. And then I think they ran 2 guys out there. That's how we ended up with too many out there. I used the timeout. So we switched up personnel again on that. And then again, just a bad play, bad coaching by myself. I should have been a little more in tune. I'm gonna take full blame for that because that could have really costed us the game. But I talked to my coaches about it. We learned from it. We got to be better from it because it was an important role in the game. To give them the ball back in that situation when we had the opportunity to put the game away. We got to be better than that as coaches. But I take full responsibility for that.
I appreciate you, Coach.
No problem.
Next question goes to Kendrick Marshall.
Yeah, Coach. You just talked about a mistake you made in the game on Saturday that kind of put your team in a bad position. This big picture about your performance this season. Being a first-year head coach, you've had a lot of success, 7 wins on the season, which is pretty rare for a first-year guy. How would you assess, your performance this year, considering everything that's happened through the offseason up to this point till now?
I've been just taking it all in, trying to get better every week. Myself, my coaches, this football team. This is a team and coaching staff. We're going to fight. Teams know that when they play us, and we're just going to finish the mission. Whether we are on top or playing from behind, we're just going to play hard. That's what we're going to do each and every year. We had a lot of ups and downs and things we had to deal with this season, but it's been a good learning experience, great learning experience. So I'm really looking forward to the future. Blessed to be at 7 wins though with everything that's went on, but I don't want to make any excuses. We've seen some good football teams, played some good football teams, some things that I know we got to be better at, and I got to get this team better at is playing 4 full quarters of football, making the right decisions throughout football games, playing better in the third quarter. I think that's something we can do too also, is just being better in the third quarter in football games. So it's been a good learning curve, but I'm very pleased where we are as a football program right now.
Now that you've been in the seat for almost the entire season, what have you learned? You learned a lot of stuff. Like, what have you learned about yourself as a coach and as a leader for the program?
Just managing it all, from top to bottom. You got to be on top of everything from trainers, equipment, and everything. Just making sure these players got what they need to be successful, as well as coaches. How important the recruiting is, and getting guys motivated and playing hard and doing things the right way, which is your blueprint for your program. So those are things that I've learned, and I'm gonna continue to get better with each and every year I'm here.
Thanks, Coach.
No problem.
Question goes to Charles Bishop.
Coach, you alluded to it earlier with regards to staff additions from Alcorn. With 2 weeks to prepare for the Soul Bowl, how important will that be in terms of your preparation and schematics, things of that nature for the Soul Bowl?
Well, that's a lot of good time to watch tape. We're gonna sit up and and analyze and break down their film and see the things they're doing offensively, defensively, special teams. But anytime you can get a bye week before a great football team like Alcorn, it's a plus for us. Our players and everything, we got on the field today and moved around a little bit, shake a little bit of the soreness out from the weekend, and then we started preparing for Alcorn. So anytime you get some extra days to prepare for a football team, it's great, for as the classroom work, learning about their best players, how their coaches coach and things like that. It's a plus on our end.
Sure thing. And quick follow-up, in terms of being a first-year coach, have you had kind of a chance, especially with the bye week this week, to kind of just assess, the success you've had thus far? I know there's one more game to go, but Jackson State, notoriously tough fan base, to have a winning season in your first year, how big is that?
It's huge. It's huge. The challenge was, Chuck, just to get this many players in here and to get them to come together, the chemistry right, as well as coaches, and go out here and have a competitive team. You know, we wanted to be right there in that SWAC championship game in the end. You know, things didn't work out that way, but you know, these guys put that behind them and kept playing football. But it's been huge, a blessing to be at 7-3. You know, I thought about it a little bit, but you know, right now I'm recruiting too. You know, this bye week we taking some time and, you know, gonna hit the road later on this week and do some recruiting. Just start getting ready for the next year and the things that we want to get accomplished in the next season. But you know, I'm very appreciative of being at 7-3 right now as a first-year head coach.
Sure thing. Appreciate you, Coach.
Thank you, Chuck.
Next question goes to Wilton Jackson.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good. So I have a question for you. What's your earliest impressions when you look at Aaron Allen and Jarvion Howard?
Oh, they're good players. You know, they make it go over there. You know, very physical with the Howard kid. You know, get behind his pads and everything. But I think that's the energy and the spark they needed right now, and they're doing a good job of carrying that football team and some guys we're going to have to deal with come next week.
Next question goes to Jay Keith.
Hey, Coach, JT Keith, USA Today. Congratulations on the win. Earlier in the year, you talked about recruiting, and you talked about it today. Might you reach out to Texas State, Coach G.J. Kine, and talk to him about some of the players he recruited as far as the size? You talked about the big receivers they had when you played Texas State and some of the size of their linemen and the way they could run.
Can you ask me that again one more time? You
Yes,
said
sir.
reach out to Texas State coach about recruiting?
About recruiting some of the recruits he had. You were talking about after that game about how big their linemen were and how fast their receivers were, and that they had as many recruits as you guys did as far as coming in transfer portal. I think you guys have 60.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't think I'll be reaching out to him on that because a lot of times, you know, that's kind of a touchy deal there because we recruit a lot of the same players, you know. So we got our formula for recruiting here. You know, we'll stick by that and, you know, carry that going into the recruiting season this year.
And then, Coach, follow up is, do you think that Alcorn might have the advantage since you have their defensive coordinator and defensive back from where they used to coach at last year?
You said that they have the advantage?
Yeah, because they used to coach there.
No, I mean, we'll just line it up next week. You know, we'll prepare for it like, you know, the Soul Bowl. We know what that game is all about, and we'll be ready to go.
And is Herb Mulligan done for the season?
Still no word yet. You know, like I said, with that ankle sprain, it's just day to day with him.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Last question goes to Wilton Jackson.
Coach, another quick question. What would you describe one of your fondest memories of actually playing against Alcorn in the Soul Bowl? I know then it was the Capital City Classic.
I think it was my junior year. It was like a huge ice storm that year, real cold. I had ended up catching the touchdown that game, a great football game though, but I think that was my fondest memory, was that game, you know, playing in those kind of conditions, and you know, the crowd still was out in full effect, but I think that was the best memory I can have of playing against Alcorn.
Have you shared that with any of your players? Or like shared
not yet. You know, we'll get going on those kind of the memory stuff this weekend. Like I said, we just getting prepared for them, getting the looks, you know, defensively, offensively, special teams, and just, you know, trying to get these dudes to practice hard these next couple of days.
Thanks, Coach.
No problem.
Coach Taylor, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Okay. Appreciate you guys. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you for all of our media participants on our SWAC Football Head Coaches Media Session for Monday, November 6th. We'll get this Zoom recording processed and sent out momentarily. Thank you for all of your coverage throughout this season. Have a great day.